Welcome to the BSBLR Show, guys. I'm your host, DR. Today, guys, we got a special guest straight out of Mission Viejo, California. First-round draft pick, went from the big leagues all the way to the indie leagues, then fought back in probably one of the craziest comeback stories I've ever heard, to then being a postseason hero and a World Series champion. But then from there, he broke the Guinness World Record for having the biggest set of cojones on the planet. We got Tyler Matzek in here today. How we doing today, boss?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing a hell of a lot better after that entry.
I'm glad you love it, man. I'm glad you love it. But you'll love this even better. We have the BSBLR Blitz. Home run if you love it, strikeout if you don't, okay? And you can explain afterwards. Feel free. It doesn't just need to be a home run or strikeout. Wearing your World Series ring in public, home run or strikeout?
I'm going to have to go home run. Worked hard for that. But it's got to be the right occasion. It's got to be the right public occasion.
Not Walmart.
No. Go to a wedding. Go to something special like that. Yeah, we're rocking the ring.
You got it, man. You absolutely got it. Living out of an RV, home run or strikeout?
Strikeout, but that's just because my wife was complaining about it the whole time. She was just like, "This is not fun." For me, it wasn't terrible. You know, good air conditioning and a good soft bed. And that's all I needed. But for her, it was a little tougher. So strikeout. On her behalf.
The shower situation.
Yeah.
There's some hit or miss I can imagine in there.
Yeah.
Big bat flips after home runs, home run or strikeout?
Homer, do it. I think that if you hit a home run, I mean you worked your tail off to get that thing, go ahead and celebrate. Just don't try and embarrass me. I think it's a two-way street, right? Like if pitchers can have their strikeout celebrations, hitters can have theirs. But there's a line that can be drawn there. Yeah, you know, I mean, if you want to celebrate, get a little fist pump or a little something like that if you're a pitcher and you strike somebody out. I don't think the hitter should have a problem with that because I expect them to hit a bat flip if they hit it 450 feet off me.
Totally. No, absolutely. And where do you draw the line there? Because obviously in the College World Series, been seeing a little bit of the chirping back and forth. Where do you draw the line when it comes to that?
I think if you start pointing at people or you start talking to other people, stuff like that, instead of just celebrating with yourself or with your teammates, that's where I'm going to have to draw the line.
Absolutely.
You know, if you're trying to, again, embarrass the other person by bringing attention to them, then we have a problem. But you hit that homer, man, that's a go-ahead homer or something like that. I mean, yeah. I shouldn't have let you do that.
Exactly, man. The ABS challenge system, home run or strikeout?
I was originally on strikeout, but now I'm all about the home run.
Okay.
I think it's been fantastic. When I first heard the rule, I said, this is terrible. We're taking the human element out of the game. After seeing it and how they've implemented it, I think it's been the right way. It's now a little bit more of a strategic play. You know, I'm not a fan of like the all-time robot ump, but I think that this kind of, you know, it keeps the game going at a good pace and it has a good time to use it. And when it's a good time to use it, a team can use it.
Yeah, it has somewhat of an accountability factor with it too that I think is interesting because, like, obviously, you know, we want the calls to be right, but there needs to be a little bit of meat in the middle area. So where it's like, okay, like, hey, Blue, that was not a good one. You keep that accountability, but then you don't eliminate the pitcher-catcher relationship and earning the strikes and the Patrick Baileys of the league type of stuff there. So I think that's where it can get interesting.
Yeah, and I think also what I've learned from this is that umpires are really, really good. You know, I think that they're right around. I had to check the numbers, but they're right around 50%. So, you know, if you see something and moving at 100 miles an hour and you're able to see it within an inch or half an inch, I mean, good for you. But those people are human back there, and they're doing a heck of a lot better than a lot of other humans would be doing. Yeah,
and I was talking to Aaron Harang last time. I think it's hilarious because sometimes – you know, and I'll catch myself doing it. You know, you watch the game on TV, you see the box. We all get the box. People sometimes, I feel like when I'm watching with another random person, right? It's like they don't have that box there. They don't see that box. So yes, that pitch outside there, they might have missed, but I mean, it's a tough job right there. I almost like it when they take the broadcast off. They take the box off the broadcast and it lets you just like feel it and see it.
I know. It feels so old school. You go back and watch some old film or something and you're like, dude, where's the box? I don't know where the strike zone's at.
Right.
And I think too, it like, you know, what they don't realize is that the guy right in front of them is trying to trick them the entire time. So if somebody's telling you the answer is no, the answer is no, the answer is no, you say no, but the answer is yes. I mean, what are you to do? You know, it's like, hey, this guy tricked me. He did his job. He tricked me. And yeah, you tapped your helmet and let's see what the real answer is.
No, it's funny. And then it's funny how you see how the game changes after that. They miss one, right? You lose your first challenge and then you see teams kind of go on their heels a little bit. The first one almost feels like kind of a freebie. Like, okay, hey, it doesn't have to be super high leverage, depending on each team. But I think it's really interesting. Like, this is strategical play we get to see too.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. It is a little bit of strategy in like, when do we use it? How do we use it? Is it going to be more of a defensive thing, more of an offensive thing? I think it's been a great add-on to the game.
Love it. And moving gears here. Not too often do I get to talk to a postseason legend. Appreciate you being on, but it's even weirder when you didn't have the best baseball career on your own high school team. You were teammates with Kyle Hendricks. I gotta ask, who was better in high school? Be candid.
He was a year older than me, and so I was a junior and he was a senior. And at that point, he was better than me. I think that I probably ended up having the better like overall high school career. But I think that when we were playing together, he was definitely better than me.
Was there anything that you saw like at that time? Obviously, he got picked, I think, 39th round out of high school. Obviously, you first, just no dirt off your shoulder. But was there something that you saw there? Obviously, what a crazy great career that Kyle Hendricks pulled out. Was there something that you saw then that you're like, okay, this guy's kind of got something special here?
Well, I think he started using something that he had that other people didn't, and that's that the dude's brilliant. He's extremely smart. And obviously he went to Ivy League. I believe it was Dartmouth. And he was just smarter than everybody else. So I think he took that and applied it to pitching. In high school, he was, low to mid 90s, 92, 94 all day long. Got to the league and was just like, I don't need to do that. I can get guys out, being smarter than them. And that's what he did. Not all tools are physical. He used his tools, which was his brilliant mind, and he was able to get big league hitters out.
No, absolutely. I mean, definitely the professor of today's type of generation. Do you think we're ever going to see, we're going to see parts of that. Obviously you have like the Logan Webbs where it's a power sinker in, 92, 93, but do you ever think we see the Kyle Hendricks still kind of hang around the league?
Absolutely. I think that, anytime that you're getting outs, you're gonna be finding yourself in the big leagues. So there's many ways to do that. I mean, I being a former teammate of mine, Bryce Elder comes to mind, of a guy who doesn't have power stuff, but he's able to go out there and be very, very good and very successful. And again, get big league hitters out. And it's kind of encouraging for the next generation that you're like, yeah, maybe you don't have the physical tools to throw 100 miles an hour like a lot of guys do, but there is still a spot for you in baseball on the pitching side, and go ahead and pursue it and be better than other people and get guys out.
Oh, 100%. Speaking of velocity, obviously you had some, and you really, that's what showed and what made you a first rounder out of high school. Plyo balls, probably a big part of a lot of great pitchers' repertoires and part of their routine, but a 6-pound shot put?
Yeah.
What's that? Talk to me.
Well, this was before Driveline was really even like coming out with their weighted balls and all this stuff. And so I needed balls that were weighted in order to throw. And, we would start, adding weights to baseballs, duct taping them, doing stuff like that. And eventually we got to a point where I was around a 6-pound weight, a weighted ball. And we found a women's shot put that weighed roughly 6 pounds. So I started throwing that thing. It's a couple pounds heavier than the black ball that Driveline uses. And, just started using that and used that to build some shoulder strength when I was younger, and my velocity went up and my everything just got better.
No, and how long did it take for someone to be like, what are you doing?
Right when I got drafted, honestly, the Rockies were like, there's no way you're doing this. And I'm like, okay, well, I've been doing this since I was about 16 years old, and it's been working great for me. And you guys actually signed me while I was doing this. So I went from apparently not being good enough to pitch on my JV team to a first-round draft pick in a matter of 2 or 3 years. And call me crazy, but I think that weighted ball had something to do with it. And I think the, lifting program had something to do with it. And I think, just the program I was doing was probably a pretty good one that was able to get me to do that.
No, obviously the proof is in the pudding, and with your career, it's an interesting one, especially at the start. So you come up with the Rockies, and I don't think most people would know that you were a successful starter in your first year. A ERA just above 4 at Coors, that's nothing to scoff at. And a CG shutout against the Padres that year, if I don't mind throwing that in there either.
Yeah.
But the next season, something kind of happened a little bit, and the yips had developed. What happened?
Yeah, I was, like you said, I had a pretty good rookie year. I was pleased with it. A couple bad outings blew the ERA up a little bit. You know, but I was overall pleased with how it was. And the next year I was coming in 2015 excited, like, hey, I'm ready to lead the charge. I'm ready to be a top of the rotation guy. And rolled my ankle in the middle of spring training. And when I rolled my ankle, for whatever reason, I just wasn't able to throw a baseball like more than 15 feet to somebody. It was all over the place. I was spiking it down in front of me. I was throwing it over their heads. And it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. Talking to a lot of other, yip experts and people who are kind of in that, they a lot of times they say like an unrelated injury causes your nervous system to just freak out and you just go into stress mode, and it can show up as the yip sometimes. And I kind of think this was just what happened. And struggled with that for the couple months. I think it was up for like a month and a half, 2 months, maybe had like 8 to 10 starts that year. It was honestly, I was drowning out there and it was just trying to survive. I mean, I did okay. You go back and you look at the numbers and you're like, oh, it wasn't terrible, but out on the field, man, I was drowning without a life jacket. It was tough.
When was there a specific moment that you were like, okay, this is like the Y word? It was like, because obviously that's a pretty big bugaboo within sports and talking about it. And that's why I like talking about this in general, the mental side of things. Was there a moment that you were like, okay, I have this yips?
It took a little while for me to come to that realization. Like, I just thought it was a mechanical thing. I'm leaking, or I'm drifting down the mound, or my arm's dragging. But what I didn't realize is that my body was freezing in the middle of my delivery. And yeah, it was messing with the timing and it was making those physical problems happen. But it was all because of my mental yips that were happening. Everyone's also, on a little side note, everyone's afraid to say the word yips. And it is a scary thing when you don't understand it. But it's as dumb as this analogy is I like to think of it as the only one who beat or could defeat Voldemort was Harry Potter, and because he was the only one who actually called him by his name. He actually called him not, whatever his nickname was, the great one, or the one we don't speak of, or whatever.
He who must not be named. Sorry,
yes, my wife. He who must not be.
Harry Potter.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you were here.
I'm there.
Hey, he who must not be named.
All day.
He would call him Voldemort, and in the end, sorry, spoiler alert, he was the one who was able to defeat him. So, when you look at it like that, that takes away for me the fear of giving that word power. It's just a word. It's just something it's called. It's a mental freeze is what it is.
Yeah. And obviously, so then go down the ranks, work all the way down to indie ball. I got to ask, what was that experience like? Obviously, you go from being a first round pick, an 11th overall pick, a dude, a dog, to seeing that experience and living that experience. What was, obviously, I know you said you felt like you were drowning, but that can't just be like on the field. Like when you're balling and you're pitching well, food tastes good, everything's good. What's that like on life when that's going on?
No, I hated myself. I thought I was, a complete failure. I had put my identity so much in baseball,
of course,
and I had this big grand plan of I'm going to be a 10-year big leaguer, and everything's going to be easy for the rest of my life. I'm just going to go out there and play the game I love. And when that was taken away from me for something I didn't understand, it wasn't like I, intentionally did anything. It was just like a mental yip came. That was all. It was world shaking. It just blew up my entire life, basically. So yeah, it was obviously very tough. When I went down to indie ball, I mean, honestly, the roughest day was the first or second appearance I had when I was in. It was still affiliated with the Rockies. I went down to, I think it was short season, high A or something, and I think I threw like 18 balls in a row and just could not throw a strike. And I was in the big leagues earlier that year, getting guys out. That was kind of like the lowest point where I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. Like that was kind of the realization of like, this isn't just a mechanical thing. This is full blown the yips. So that was obviously the lowest point. And yeah, waking up, seeing yourself in the mirror, and not wanting to see that every single day was what it was. And I had to come to grips with that and kind of get myself out of that hole. And it took some time. And I mean, I hated having to go through it, but I also at the same time love that I had to go through it because it gives me a better perspective on life.
Yeah. So where do you even go from there? Because obviously, in reading into you in this story, like there's no way it just went from that to calling Navy SEAL. What happened, and like what was the trek like to get to the point of where you really deep dove and found out this everything that you need to find out with this?
I mean, I kept grinding. That's what I did. I just kept throwing it. And what I ended up doing, I tried to just push my way through it. So I would take a throwing partner out. His name was Jake Pintar, and we would just go, and I would be like, hey, I put him in front of this big net, and I was just like, I'm going to throw until I'm able to throw to you. Because I didn't know what I was doing. And I just threw and threw and threw. And there was days where I probably made 150 throws, 200 throws, just trying to hit this guy in the chest. And it was maybe 15 of them would hit him in the chest. And he was a amazing sport and was just like, you're good, bro. He'd go and pick up the ball and chuck it right back to me. And I'm like, dude, you're awesome. So it's guys like that help me, kind of push through. And then I get a random phone call from Michael McHenry, who was my catcher in Colorado. And he said, hey, I got somebody you need to meet. His name's Jason Kuhn, and you need to come out and work with him. And I was like, dude, I got nothing else. Like, absolutely. When do you want me out there? So we scheduled it up. I went out, lived with him for about a week, worked with Jason for about a week. And that's what kind of like flipped the switch in my mind and got me off the tracks I was on and onto the right tracks.
And what were those workouts like? Like what? So obviously Jason being former minor leaguer, was it?
No, he's a former collegiate player. So he
player?
played at Middle Tennessee State. If I remember correctly, he said they were like a top 25 team. He was a back end reliever. He would have, probably gotten drafted as a senior sign and played some minor league baseball.
And so Navy SEAL, call it. And what was his training regimen with you? What got you to battle through this? Like, what were the things that you try to do?
Yeah. So what he was obviously, he was at Middle Tennessee State, and he got the yips when he was playing baseball there, right? He put all this pressure on himself. And basically got kicked off the team or quit, or I don't even know if he quit or whatever, but it just wasn't happening. And everyone was just like, hey, you're mentally weak. You're soft. You're mentally weak. And he's been sitting there and he's just like, dude, I'm not mentally weak. I don't know what this is, but I'm not mentally weak. That's not what this is. He goes ahead and sees a commercial for the Navy SEALs. And he said, I was like, this is where like the most mentally tough people go. And he's like, screw it. I'm going there. I'm going to go show all these people that I'm not mentally weak. That's what started his Navy SEAL career. He went on to have a successful Navy SEAL career, had a couple tours, and, got up to, I think he worked with DevGru a little bit. And so he had a very successful career, but when he was done, he was just like, wow, I've learned so much in the SEAL teams that if I'd known half of this stuff, I wouldn't have got the yips, and I would have had a better baseball career and been way more successful in this. How can I take that and start helping other people that are in my situation? He started working with other teams and stuff, and then I was one of his first yip clients that he ever worked with, because McHenry was just like, hey, I got a guy who's got the yips. I heard you've had the yips in the past. Do you think you could help him? That's when I went out and started working with him. So he started doing basically like almost like a boot camp where he was trying to like break me down. He was trying to break down my ego, which he didn't know me, but if he would have hung out with me for more than like, the 15, 20 minutes that we got before the workout started, he would have realized my ego was gone. Like it was shot after what had happened, pitching wise the previous year. I had no ego going, man. I was like, dude, you're terrible at baseball. Why are you even doing this kind of thing? There was nothing there. So once he broke me down and realized that I was there, he's like, all right, now it's time to build you back up. And so he started doing a lot of drills that took, some of it was team building drills. Some of it was life drills. One that comes to mind is there was this hill that we had at this facility that we were doing this. And he's like, all right, you're going to take this 25-pound med ball and you're going to push it up this hill. And you have to throw it up the hill, run up, stop it, and then throw it up the hill, run up, stop it. And this thing it's a huge hill. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I turn around and they're like, all right, McHenry, start doing squats. So he had to start doing squats until I was done doing this. And I'm gassed. I'm pushing this ball. I'm pushing this ball, pushing this ball. And he's sitting there right in my ear and he's saying, hey, you're in pain. That's cool. But your buddy down there is in pain. So who's going to suffer? The more you sit back and you don't suffer by taking your breath, the more he has to suffer. So get up and get going. That taught me, like, yeah, you're right. Stop feeling sorry for myself. Why am I feeling sorry for myself? I got my buddy back there who's I should be feeling sorry for. So I took the thought went from not from how I'm feeling, but how are the people around me feeling? How can I make them feel better? When I was able to do that, man, it helped a ton. So I started looking at my life in a different way like that. And started looking at even my relationship with my wife, where it was, I feel sorry for myself, but like, she's been the one encouraged me this whole time, like, stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. And I'm like, dude, you're right. Why am I feeling sorry for myself when I have her who's like backing me 100%? Like, go do it. Like, just go do whatever it takes to do it. And it's just like little lessons like that, man. And he changed my life, and I'm forever grateful for him working through that process with me.
That's incredible. And what was it like then from that to getting up on a mound and then trying to apply that? Did it feel like it just clicked right in, or what was that like?
There was good and bad. So some weeks were good, some weeks were bad. And again, I was his first client, so I was still trying. We were still trying to figure it out, and we were kind of working together on like what's working, what's not working. I remember that week we threw a bullpen at a college in town, and it was great. It was fantastic. I had a hitter in the box. I hadn't had a hitter in the box where I was throwing strikes and being competitive for a very, very long time. A year plus. Yeah, it was 5-6 days after I'd met him. So it was moving quick, but then, I'd regress a couple times and then I'd move forward, move back. It was that kind of thing. Now he's got his program locked in, where I've seen guys who can't play catch to all of a sudden competing at the highest level in about 2 to 3 months. And it's been really amazing to watch. Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, like, to go from where you went to that point, and I know it took a little bit of time to kind of build into the pitcher that you were. I know you lost a little bit of your power arm and everything that was after going through that a little bit. What was kind of what got you back? So obviously you had your brain back, which was ultimately important. What got your arm back and got you back into like, okay, like, I have big league shit?
Yeah. So I had been what I called survival mechanics, right? I had been throwing where I stuck my arm out and kind of just dragged it through the zone. And it wasn't the most efficient way to throw a baseball, but it felt like I could control it into the zone. And again, I was survival mechanics where I had a terrible mindset, and it was just like, how little can I move my body and keep it in control to throw somewhere around the zone?
Yeah, strikes.
Throw something close to a strike. It wasn't even strikes. It was just something where the catcher could catch it. Let's be honest. So once I was able to get the mindset in the right place, I'm like, all right, now I need to clean up these actual physical mistakes, these mechanical problems. So for 1 year in indie ball, I was kind of dealing with those mechanical things, whatever, was still working through the mental stuff. Then I went to spring training with the Diamondbacks, threw decent there. It was starting to get better. The mind was like in a really good spot there. Got released from them, went back to indie ball, and the pitching coach there, who was a former Major League Baseball player, and his name's Kevin Joseph, and he helped me a ton with just simplifying my mechanics. He's like, dude, you're like sticking your arm way out and it's really long and it's hard to control out there. Why don't you just like bring it right up next to your ear? Like, try and shorten it up. And so like, I felt like I was doing, this like tiny little action, but in reality, it's really, I was just flipping it up and it looked normal. Once that happened, my velo just popped up. It was like, it just popped up. My accuracy popped up, and I became athletic again on the mound. And that was like the biggest jump that I had in the entire process, was just shortening that arm up. And it almost like went from like unnatural, and then like, just try this, boom, natural. And it just fell
just
into
like
place.
that.
Oh my gosh. And I remember going home after that and just being so like, whoa, this is actually possible. Like, I could actually come back and start throwing hard again. This is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm fucking back. Like
Yeah,
that
exactly.
is like, geez. So from there, so I know that the VP of scouting, Dana Brown, at that point, he was like basically begging Double A to bring you in just for the last couple weeks of the season with the Braves. What was that experience like, or going through that?
Yeah, so I knew my agent had said, "Hey, there's going to be some guys coming to see you. If you can try and pitch when they're there, that'd be great." And with indie ball, you can't really control anything, but like you can see, there's not many people in the stands, but you can see when the scouts are actually there. And I'm down. Honestly, the whole start of this thing, I was just like, I just want to throw a baseball and be competitive again, and I would be happy.
Totally.
Right. And then once it happened, I was like, all right, let's see how far we can go with this. And so when the scouts were there, there, and they were watching the game, and it was looking like I didn't have the opportunity to go in the game. Some things changed. We started scoring some runs, and it was like, all right, we're getting a more leverage part of the game. We're gonna have you pitch. So I hop in, go into the game, and this is in Gary, Indiana, and I'm throwing some of the best pitching I've ever had, honestly. Upper 90s, slider was feeling great. Everything was going well. And then, that was the game. And the next day, I get a call from the Braves saying, "Hey, we want to sign you." I was like, all right, absolutely. Get me out of indie ball. That sounds good to me. Dana was pushing AA heavily, like, "Hey, we need to sign this guy." Alex was like, "Dude, the season's over in like 2 weeks. We'll just sign him and bring him into spring training." And Dana was like, "No, we need to get him now, even though there's only like 2 weeks of indie ball left and a month of the minor league season left. Let's go get him now." So I went to Double A and then went to Triple A. The baseball's kind of messed with me a little bit there in Triple A, and spent the off season really throwing those major league / Triple A baseballs, and made the adjustment with those things. And it felt good, and we headed into the next spring training.
Yeah, I think it turned out okay, because then you go into making the major league roster 2020, 2021 to basically being one of the best setup guys in all of baseball. Literally shoving. You're talking 2 straight seasons, sub-3 ERA, but the real moment of your career, the nutsack moment, if I had to say it, had to have come in the 2021 playoffs in Game 6. Second and third, nobody out. What's going on in your head when you are told, "Hey, get out there"?
Yeah, so I knew my slot in the lineup. So I knew I was going to be, I think it was going to be, they were going to have the pinch hitter come in at the 9 spot, I believe is what it was, with Luke out there is what they were planning on. And then I was going to come in or something like that. So I knew that I was going to be 8-9-1 or 9-1-2, or even, further past that. So when I saw Luke out there, give up a hit, give up another hit, however it went, a walk, I can't remember how it went. I'm warming up, and I'm like, all right, I know this slot's coming. And so they launched me early. They sent me out there with the number 8 guy. So I was like, all right, I'm ready. Let's do this. Runner, like you said, I'm warming up in the bullpen. I really see the runner on second and third. And I know Luke's, for whatever reason, man, the Dodgers had his number. And I'm just like, dude, get me out on this field. Like, I'm ready. I want to go help again, it goes back to that exercise where like, I see my buddy in pain and suffering, and I can do something about it. Call me in. I want to go help him out. And it was taking it off of me, any fear that I had going into the game. And it was like, dude, it's time to go. Let's go save your friend. It's time to go save your friend. It's time to go save all of your friends. Go in there and do it for them. And again, it comes back all the way back to, Jason teaching me that lesson. So I get out there, and Pujols is the first guy up. And, I know obviously he hits lefties pretty well. I just need to execute my pitches. And honestly, I was looking to just keep him on the ground. I don't want him to lift the ball so that he could get a run or anything like that. So I hit slider down, missed, fastball up and in tight. I was trying to just, it's hard to get extended and put the ball up in the air when you put it up there. And then end up killing him or striking him out with a slider down. Got him. Souza, I'm just like, I'm going after him. Power. He's a power swing. Honestly, power swings versus my stuff, like, I don't mind it. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's the slap guys I struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, I'm going after him, able to punch his ticket. And then the Mookie Betts comes up, and I'm like, all right, I knew that he had struggled that year against lefties with velocity. So I was like, all right, I'm coming all fastballs at this guy. Let's go. I'd already faced him a handful of times in this series, and I mixed it up a little bit. kind of saving the, just pure fastball at bat for him. And I was like, this is the time to do it. So we're going to throw fastballs. And obviously I wanted to go up with them. That's where my stuff usually plays. And I missed a couple right down the middle, but I was just, grunting and snorting and just trying to get after and throw as hard as I can. And when I was able to get that third pitch by him, I was just like, there's no way. Like, I just did this. I was hoping to just give up one run and keep the lead, or you know what I mean? Like, I'm happy with just one of those guys hitting a pop fly or something. But when I was able to do it, man, I kind of blacked out. I was overcome by emotions and just kind of fist pumped, spiraled, yelled. I was just so excited. Got to the dugout steps and I was like sitting there and I'm like, crap, my window is still in this lineup. Like, I still have to go out there and face guys. So I should probably calm down a little bit. I was like way too jazzed up. So you see me kind of realize that right when I get to the dugout, like, dude, calm down. You're still got to go out there and pitch. So yeah, I went out there. I don't remember how the second inning went, but I think it just, 1, 2, 3. And after that, I sat down and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, that was so much fun.
When did it hit? Like, when did this feeling of like realization, again, we're talking about your story, man. So you're talking about first round pick, yips, lose everything, lose all confidence, everything down to the bottom, indie leagues. You think your career's over just like that. And then now you're talking a couple years later. Do you have the biggest moment sending a team to the World Series? Like, did that ever, like, were you sitting there after the game and be like, holy shit?
I mean, obviously, yeah. I think our whole team was, we were just so doubted. Everybody doubted us. We'd only won, I think, 88 games or something like
wild
that.
card.
Why? No, we won the division.
Was it?
Don't take that away from
my bad.
Don't take that away from us.
I felt that.
It was a tough division that year.
It just felt. I remember the low wins. Yeah.
Yes, it was 88, but we won the division. It was a tough division that year, and yeah, I mean, we were just kind of the underdogs, and we were like, screw it, like, we're not the underdog. We didn't think that for 1 second in the clubhouse, and we just went out and wanted to show the world that, and I feel like that was, my mentality. That was the whole team's mentality, and yeah, it was a great experience, and yeah, to go from like the bottom all the way back up to the top, and then just keep going and going and going. I mean, yeah, it was unbelievable.
That's insane, man. And I got to ask, how did you get your nickname?
So it was actually Luke. It was right after that game. Luke knew that I kind of saved him. He would have probably been hated in the city of Atlanta. He'd been screwed up, and he screwed that up. So Luke's a good friend, like one of my best friends. And he's sitting next to me and he's like, hey, I'm going to tweet this. You cool with this? And I was like, I don't care. He's like, do you think the Braves are going to care? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, screw it, I'm hitting send. So he tweeted it out. And then within like 30 seconds, the Braves Twitter page redid it. And he's like, well, there's our answer. I guess they don't care. So, and then it just stuck after that.
Oh, man. I mean, did you embrace the nutsack? Not like that. Did you embrace what?
Not like that. I embraced the nickname, the nutsack. There you go.
My bad.
Yeah. I mean, it was nothing new to me. In high school, kids called me, it started as, nutsack, ball sack is what it was. And then it just changed to sack. So now when I go home, everyone just calls me Sack whenever they see me. So it was nothing new to me. It was new for everybody else.
Oh man. I mean, there's worse nicknames. I mean, you were accustomed to it. I mean, you had developed strong skin from this. You were built from the sack, as some would say.
Yes, there you go. That's exactly right. I mean, I think it was more just rhymed with the last name, and guys just rode with it. And I mean, when it comes to nicknames, I'd rather have that than a lot of other ones. So I'm fine with it.
Because I still remember seeing a tweet one time where it was like you started signing and autographing with nutsack underneath of it. So.
Oh, I do it all the time, and the most fun is watching the grown men come up and say it when you got children around. They're like, "Hey, can you sign nutsack on there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, no problem," and I'll write it. But they're like so shy to say it, and I'm Dude, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, hush, hush. Can't talk about it.
Yeah.
But you win the World Series. I mean, let's not glance over the fact that you pitched in all 4 wins in huge scenarios. In Game 4, another 2-inning performance. I mean, what was that feeling like? Game's over. You guys win. What's the first thing you guys do?
obviously we lose our minds. That's what we did. Out on the field, we're like, is this really happening? There's no way we just did this. But we could feel it building, man. When Soler hit that home run, I remember Luke sitting next to me because for whatever again, Luke was pitching fine at this time.
This time
the Dodgers, but I'm saying the Dodgers had his number, but like in Houston, he was good. For whatever reason, they had a tip or something. But he's sitting there next to me and he looks over and he's like, did we just win the World Series? And I'm like, dude, as long as we don't screw this up down here, yeah, we did. Like we did. We're up a couple of runs. I think they put up like
I think it was 7. It was 7-0 when you came in the game.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, and we had Max. Max had a bad first game in the series, and then he absolutely shoved. There's so many question marks. Can he do it? All this stuff, and he just put all that to bed. He got his ankle stepped on in the first inning, and just like, boom, he was just like, screw this. I'm going out here. This is not happening. And absolutely dominated. So watching our starter go out there and do that, watching Soler hit a freaking moonshot, watching Freddie hit a homer, I think Swanson hit a homer. Like everybody was just hitting tanks. And so we were like, dude, let's not screw this up over here. Let's go out there and dominate, and then we'll celebrate after. And yeah, man, it was unbelievable.
What's it like when you're going back into the clubhouse, into the locker room, and feeling that rush, that feeling?
I mean, it's just pure joy. It's just pure ecstasy, pure joy. You've been grinding for whatever it is, 9 months with these guys, sacrificing, like seeing their families and just, late nights, having to travel, all this stuff. I'm not complaining. We get compensated pretty well, but
it's a 162 with
162
some change, man, with some spring training. You're not talking spring training. And then what World Series, that's another month.
Yes.
I mean, that's a long season. I don't care what you're doing.
Yes. So we're grinding together for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. I mean, obviously you get some brotherhood, going, and when you finally, reach the mountaintop, it's just like, it's pure ecstasy, pure joy. Like you got a bunch of dudes pulling on a rope in the same direction. It's something real special.
Was there a moment in the season that you felt like, okay, because obviously there was some struggle. Then some trade acquisitions happened, and the pearls and everything happened, right? What was there a moment that felt like, okay, like obviously you always are like, yeah, we're going to win the World Series, but was there a moment where you're like, this is the fucking team?
Yeah. I think that when we got the trade acquisitions, we knew that we're not sellers, we're buyers, because there was still talk like we're going to sell, which is crazy for a team that ends up winning the division. You know what I mean? That's a crazy thing to say. Like we were close to selling, having lost, a future Hall of Famer in our right fielder, and just some other bad things that happened that season. The fact that we saw, okay, we're getting more guys to plug those holes. We're not just selling, kind of remotivated everybody. The pitching staff was, I think, fine overall through the whole entire year. And we were in a good mindset, in a good spot the whole entire season. And then when we saw that, it was like, all right, boys, it's time to go. Like we got the team that can do this. We got some studs that have just come in. Alex has sent a message to everybody that we're looking to win. Now let's go win some baseball games.
Yeah. I mean, what a team that you guys had. But when I think about the celebrations, and especially for you, you seem like a mild-mannered guy and very polite, very humble guy. But what were you doing that almost got you arrested at the parade, man?
Well, had a few too many adult sodas is what I like to call them.
Pepsis.
Yes, adult Pepsis. And I thought it would be a great idea to break the one and only rule that they told us the whole day. They said, you will be getting on a bus, you will stay on the bus, and you will get off the bus when you get to the stadium. And I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. And for whatever reason, I decided those fans look like they're having so much fun. I want to go hang out with the fans.
We won the World Series.
Yeah, I'm like, I've already partied with my friends. I want to go party with the fans too. So I ran out there, started giving some high fives, and I went around the bus. And as I came around the bus, a cop who hadn't seen me get off the bus just saw some dude running in the middle of the street. And he went over, grabbed me. Took him a second, like, wait, what the heck? And I'm like, dude, my credentials are in my front right pocket. Pull them out. And he pulls them out and he's like, what the hell are you doing off the bus? And I was like, honestly, I'm an idiot. I shouldn't be. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Get back on the bus. And he gives me. And then I just started having to run after my bus, which had been driving away from me for the last, I don't know, minute or two. And I had to run up this hill. And so I'm just drunk running up this hill like, dude, this was a terrible idea. Terrible idea. I finally made it back to my bus. My wife, I could hear her screaming, "What are you doing? They said don't get off the bus." Luke was screaming at me. He's like, you should have got arrested. I would have bailed you out in a couple days. It would have been better. So yeah, it was not a smart decision, but it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Oh man, that makes for an amazing story now. Man, I mean, when you talk about stuff like that, it's awesome because you get a touch of the brotherhood you talk about in the camaraderie that you have with those guys. What was that like in that camaraderie in that clubhouse with that team?
Well, we loved hanging out with each other. It's kind of like, I wouldn't say taboo anymore, but it was a thing back in the day where guys would sit around and have a beer and hang out with their teammates after a game. And in clubhouses now, like, that doesn't really happen as much. But it kind of started for us in 2020 where we were in the bubble. So we couldn't leave. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. We couldn't see anybody. It was go to their house and then go to the field and then go right back to our house. Like, that's just how it was. And we were like, dude, I'm sick of doing that. So what we had them do is bring in a couple beers and we would just hang out in the locker room for a little while. And that kind of grew and grew and grew. And it started with just the bullpen guys, and it grew to all the pitchers. And then we had position players that would stop by every once in a while. And we spent time learning about each other, what people liked, what people disliked, how their family was doing, how their childhood was. We got into so many things, man. And it was amazing to just sit around and talk and just have a relationship with all your teammates. Yeah, you have the teammate relationship, but we had like friendship relationships being built because we were able to sit around and talk over a couple beers.
Yeah, just hang out.
Yeah, just hang out.
No, I mean, I think that's the thing that I think a lot of people don't. And I guess I'll ask this more so. Why do you think it's different now? Or what is different? Obviously you said the bubble kind of led into that, but what's different now that maybe a lot of clubhouses don't have that same exact vibe?
It's tough to say. I think it's just like the newer generation. Guys just come in, do their work, and get out of there. Everything now is just like analytical. You have to get this much sleep. You have to get this much rest, this much food, this much this. And, I think that it's just like the more time I can get away from the field, the better rested I'll be, the more likely I'll have a hit the next day or something like that, But we'd have nights where we'd sit around for 2, 3, 4 hours and just hang out and talk. And honestly, I felt like that was more beneficial than getting an extra hour or two of sleep, just because I was building a relationship with another human being that gave me that fire to go out and save that person. If I didn't care about Luke Jackson as a person, I wouldn't care about going out and helping him in that moment, in the NLCS to go and save him, but or help him get out of that jam, but having built a relationship with him because of those actions, hanging out with him in the clubhouse, it was the fuel to the fire that helped me get through that moment.
And that's so interesting you put it that way, because I mean, you can see where it gets created, because obviously you have to do what's best for you. Like, you have to, in order for you to be a part of the clubhouse, you got to perform. So, and then you talk the analytics part of it, where everything's so measured and everything's so specific and down to a specific detail. If, you want to make sure that you're maximizing that, but at the same point, what's camaraderie do for a team? What does, just like you said, like that kind of the Navy SEAL type thought process of like, hey, that's my person I have to bail out and help so we can win. Because at the end of the day, you want to win games. But if you just have 9 guys who are just like individually competing, and I know it's an individual sport, but an individual team sport, I should say, but there's that mix in that marriage there with the camaraderie and everything that goes into that.
Yeah, I think for sure. It's you have to, if you have to get everybody pulling on the rope in the same direction, like if you have somebody who's really good and they're on the wrong side of the rope, they're not helping you. So, yes, you need everybody at their peak, at their best, but you're in the big leagues for a reason. The thing they don't teach you in the minor leagues is, like, again, you're competing in the minor leagues against the person standing next to you so often. And then you get to the big leagues and you're supposed to not do that anymore.
crazy.
And they never teach you like, hey, you're competing with that outfielder for the big league spot. Now that you're in the big leagues, you're not competing with any of those outfielders for the big league spot. You've been promoting the guy that has been just better, but not the guy who is the better teammate, the better player, the
100%.
better baseball player. He's the better computer player. He's not the better baseball player.
Which is so weird because the only place in professional baseball that winning matters is the big leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's an interesting thing because obviously you get why, but you see where that can create kind of like what we're talking about within a clubhouse because then you train these guys to be like, hey, you only need to give a fuck about yourself.
Yeah.
And you train them to that through analytics, through obviously, and like naturally you want to do good, of course, but like you create that where you might create a systemic promise or problem within your organization of like individualized.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. That's just how the system is built. And I tell organizations, I tell some people like, this is how you should not do it. What you should do is you should tell and remind your players that, look, there is one center fielder on X team, but there's 30 in the league. So if you are cheering for your competition to be worse, all it's doing is making you not have to cross a bar any higher. If you cheer for them to be better, they're pushing the bar higher and higher and higher. And what you're going to do is you're going to find out that you two have been pushing a bar far further than the 29 other dudes have been the 29 other teams set of outfielders have been pushing their bar. And what you're going to find is one of them's going to be on this team and one of them's going to be on that team. Mm-hmm. And the two that weren't pushing the bar and they were cheering for each other to not be good, they're back at home sitting on the couch. They're not playing. So keep pushing each other's bar higher and higher and higher and keep cheering them to push your bar higher. I tell organizations that I tell young players that that's the best way to look at it. That's the way you're most likely going to be successful. And you're going to also be able to just like live with yourself better, man. It's tough to show up at the ballpark and cheer for your teammate to do bad. Like that's not fun. You don't want to do that. Cheer for him to do good. If he goes 4 for 4, you say, hell yeah, bro, I get to go 4 for 4 tomorrow. Like I'm going to do it. And constantly be pushing each other up.
I love that. Every time I get a major league legend, a guy with great stories like you, I have to ask this question. I think it does the little kid that loves baseball inside of me just so well. Who is the greatest player that you've ever faced?
The greatest player I've ever faced. I mean, I think we sleep on how good Albert Pujols was. Like, I grew up watching Albert Pujols, and it was just like, oh my gosh, they called him the machine for a reason. Like, the guy was unbelievable. He played for so long and was a part of some teams later on in his career. And it kind of like, I feel like if you don't leave in your prime, people kind of start thinking about how you were the last handful of years, and they forget how you were for the first 15 or 20 years. The guy was unbelievable.
I think they want to remember the
Angels.
Hitters. People will just remember some of the Angels tenure and just like forget what he was in the 2000s with the Cardinals. And
correct.
Like, amazing. The machine, right?
Unbelievable. I mean, you go back and you look at his numbers and you're like, oh my goodness. And yeah, it's truly amazing. So I would go and say he's probably the best player that I've played against. Just coming off the top of my head, that's probably the answer. Kershaw, playing against Kershaw, obviously unbelievable, but like wasn't directly against him. It was more
facing him. Yeah,
it wasn't directly facing him. Guys I've actually faced would probably be Albert Pujols.
Was there ever a time that like you were on the mound and like kind of like starstruck or in awe of a player?
I mean, my whole rookie season, honestly. You get up there and guys you've been watching, growing up and even like, high school, you're just like, wow, that's Justin Morneau playing first base for me. Like,
I played with him on the show.
The guy's so good. Like, yeah, I was like, and he's my first baseman. Like, oh, this is awesome. I come set and I get to look over at Justin Morneau right, 50 feet away from me. This is so cool. So my whole rookie season was just like that. I'm turning around. Hey, Tulo, you want to throw 2 right here? And I'm like, dude, this is awesome.
What?
Yeah, exactly. It's stuff like that. So I was starstruck my entire rookie season.
That's great. Hey, thanks again, Tyler. You're the man. I appreciate you telling some great stories and talking about your story. I think that's the biggest thing I saw when I was digging up research on you. I think this is one of the more incredible stories that I've honestly ever heard. And it's really great to see what you've been doing. Obviously, you're going through another little comeback right now. Wish you the best when it comes to that rehabbing. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I had shoulder surgery about 9 months ago. Just going through that, and the shoulder's a finicky thing, and it's taken a little bit more time than I expected. But if it gets right in the long run, it'll all be worth it. And just fingers crossed, and hoping everything goes good. I got great medical staff that's been helping me out, and it's just I keep showing up day after day and keep getting better. So it's just taking some time, but hopefully we'll get there.
Awesome, man. And thanks again for hopping on. And thanks again for everyone listening in here. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, all of the socials we got there. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify if you're listening there. But thanks again, Tyler, for popping on. And we will talk to you guys soon. Peace.